Have you ever wondered how to find a deal in Toronto's real estate market, or specifically what the market is doing in the areas that you're looking for? This video is definitely for you, and you can find this directly on Google. I'm Michael Ouzas. I'm a realtor here in Toronto. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's been going on in Toronto real estate for February 2024. If you ever want to book in a call with me, click on that first link in the description down below. When the stats came out for January 2024, we saw a ton of media coverage on what's happening in the market. Are we back into buyer territory? Are we in multiple offer situations? Well, I'm going to break this down for you so you can figure out what exactly is happening in specific areas that you're looking in. In order to do this, we're going to break down the key metric to pay attention to as we move forward here in 2024, especially as you're making real estate decisions. So the first thing you're going to do is go to Google and type in TRREB Market Watch and pull this up as you're going through the video so you can look up what I'm going through at the same time that I'm running through it here on the screen. The first link you're going to click on is Market Watch. It's the first result, and it's going to bring you to this page, and this is a public page. You can just find this straight on Google. So pull this up, and this is going to say GTA Realtors released January 2024 stats. Scroll down to where it says see full report and click on that button. It's going to bring you to this PDF, and this is where we're going to base today's data on. And there's a lot of numbers in this thing, so I'm just going to warn you, it's a lengthy document. However, I'm going to show you how to find specifics on what exactly you're looking for. Let's break down what I think is the most important metric when it comes to measuring what's happening in the market, and that's months of inventory. It's a term that gets thrown around all the time, and you may be wondering what exactly that means, or you may have heard me talk about it in many of my videos in the past.
Why don't you explain this to me like I am an 8-year-old?
But I really want to break down what exactly it is and why I think it's the most important metric. Now, I promise this won't be a stats video. I've done enough of those for this month, breaking those down, and you can check those other videos out. But if you look at this number down below, it says the Greater Toronto Area market stats, months of inventory for all home types was 2.39. So let's go back to that Market Watch PDF for a second and scroll down to page number 3, and you'll see a tab here that says months of inventory. And basically what they're doing is they're taking the active listings, dividing them by the number of sales, and spitting out a number here of 2.4. And as we just showed, it was 2.39 when it came to the Greater Toronto Area months of inventory. And each individual area performs differently, and each micro market also performs differently. So let's really break this down into as basic terms as possible.
It's not rocket science, people.
This is how we calculate months of inventory. We take the number of active listings, we divide them by the number of sales, and it comes out with a number months of inventory, which is reflective of the absorption rate for how quickly properties are selling.
The x-axis. Yes, there's the x-axis.
If we're between 0 and 2 months, that's a seller's market. If we're between 3 and 5 months, that's a balanced market. And anything 6 months or above is a buyer's market.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Okay, let's really make this simple. If there are 2 active listings on the market and one of them sells, there is 2 months of inventory, which is a seller's market. So basically 1 out of every 2 properties is selling. Let's take it a step further. If there are 8 properties on the market and 2 of them sell, now we have 4 months of inventory. So now it's a balanced market. 2 sales out of 8 active listings have sold, 4 months of inventory. Okay, and the last one, if there were 12 active listings and 2 firm sales, that is 6 months of inventory, which is a buyer's market.
Yes! 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 Yes!
So now if we take a look back at the Greater Toronto Area stats and 2.39 months of inventory, this is a quote unquote balanced market, but trending towards more of a seller's market. The key metric to watch and the key number to watch is the number 2. And when we hit 2 months of inventory, that's when we start to see more activity, more competition, and generally prices increase as well. Anytime you see the stats coming from a news source, generally they are using the Greater Toronto Area stats, and they pile it in as a whole and just call it Toronto. However, if we look at this map, these are all the elements of the Greater Toronto Area: Toronto, Durham, York, Peel, and Halton. There's even Dufferin County and Simcoe County, but these are the big 5. And if you're looking for a condo in downtown Toronto versus a detached property in the city of Oshawa, both are going to have different metrics when it comes to the months of inventory. And this is why it's so important that when you do see those numbers coming from from the Toronto Real Estate Board or from the news articles that you're reading, it's really hard to blanket everything under one statement because typically a house in a certain area versus a condo in another area are probably performing relatively different. And if we break down those regions even more, each region has different markets and each market has different micro markets. It's really important to dive into those, and we're going to show you on Market Watch how to find that data. The other thing to note is that each region has different areas and communities which all perform differently. Now, going back to Market Watch, while you have it pulled up on your phone, go down and see exactly what it is you're looking for in the areas. If you're looking in Toronto Central, 2,706 active listings, 741 sales. But let's take it a bit deeper. And as you go down through this Market Watch, there are various areas and regions and different property types, which are all super important to pay attention to. The first section is all home types. And then if you take a look as you go down a little bit below, you'll get into the detached sector. So if you're looking at a detached in the city of Toronto, 739 active listings, 342 sales. But if you're looking at Toronto Central, 315 active listings, 96 sales. And you can go all the way down to see different property types and different markets. If we were to take that 2.39 months of inventory, how does it look across the board? If you're looking at Toronto proper, you're looking at 2.7 months of inventory. But in Durham, you're looking at 1.6 months of inventory. And you can see the others here. Here's the map of Toronto. And I really wanted to point this out because not every pocket in Toronto performs the same. There's also different property types and different levels of price points in different areas in the city. I thought it'd be a great idea to use some different case studies, and I pulled some numbers from the October 2023 Market Watch to compare them to January of 2024. And on the Market Watch website, you can go back and look at different archives of past Market Watch updates. If we take a look at Toronto CO1 condos, and this is the downtown core, which has the biggest cluster of condos. This is from Dufferin to Yonge and from Bloor down to the water. In October of 2023, there were 1,310 active condo listings and 199 sales. That equates to 6.6 months of inventory, which is a buyer's market. And this was from October of 2023. If we look at January 2024 for Toronto CO1 condos, there were 804 active listings and 192 sales, which is 4.18 months of inventory, bringing us back into a balanced market for Toronto CO1 condos in January of 2024. Let's try a different area of Toronto. Let's just go a little bit west of CO1 to W01. And this is, for example, Roncy, Parkdale, and even into that South Kingsway area. And we picked semi-detached. In October, there were 13 active listings and 5 sales, giving us 2.6 months of inventory, which is officially a balanced market. However, I would argue that if you are in the twos, you're kind of trending towards seller territory. This was from October 2023. Now let's take a look at January 2024. There were 5 active listings and 4 sales. That is a 1.25 months of inventory, which is a seller's market. If you're looking to either purchase a semi-detached property in the W1 area, Roncy, for example, it's a very active market and very competitive when it comes to offers. And if you watch any of my past videos, semi-detached properties are a very hot product right now in the city of Toronto, especially in areas like W01, EO1, which is Leslieville, and Riverdale. Those are all very active markets for semi-detached properties. If you're a seller with a semi-detached property in W01 currently, the demand is definitely there when it comes to buyers looking to get into that area to purchase a property. So if you were considering listing your property in 2024, 1.2 months of inventory is generally a good time to do so. I hope that painted a good picture of why months of inventory is an important indicator on whether you're a buyer or seller in today's real estate market. I hope breaking down this months of inventory term makes a little more sense and also gives you good insight into the real estate market, especially in the Greater Toronto area. That being said, there's another element and layer when it comes to months of inventory, and that is that this data comes out at the start of every month, reflective of the previous month. The market doesn't generally wait for this data as it keeps moving throughout the month. And a number that comes out at the end of January may be different than what we're seeing as we trend through the middle of February. It's not something that we're going to bring up in this video, but this is something that's super important when working with any buyers and sellers in today's market. And that's to figure out where exactly they're looking at and what is happening in that specific micro market that they're looking for. For example, if you're looking for a condo in Liberty Village, which falls into the Niagara region here of CO1, that may be performing differently differently than a condo up here in University, close to the University of Toronto. These two micro markets could be performing very differently, even though they both fall under the CO1 tag. And this is where breaking these numbers down are really, really important when it comes time to going to look for properties or going to sell properties in the near future and having that pulse on a week-to-week basis. The second thing I mentioned in the intro was, where do you find the deals if you're looking for real estate in the Greater Toronto Area? It depends on property type and the market that you're considering. But if you're looking for strictly a deal, an area doesn't matter, you're going to want to look for the areas and the micro markets that have 6 months of inventory or more. In October of 2023, as mentioned, Toronto CO1 condos were over 6 months of inventory, which means if you're looking for a condo, it's a great time to go and take your time to look and also negotiate on price. Now that we're at just over 4 months of inventory for Toronto CO1 condos, they're not exactly flying off the shelf. However, the deals may not be as extreme as they were when they were over 6 months of inventory. Just something to factor in when you are starting your search. So you're going to want to look for 6 months of inventory or more, which micro markets have that kind of data. And always keep in mind that it is property specific, which plays another factor into your home search.
Location, location, location.
Hope you found all this information very useful. Drop a comment down below if there's a specific area that you're interested in order to find out the months of inventory. I'm Michael Ouzas. Thanks for watching.